What's going on, True Crime World? You're here with Luminol on the Wall. I'm Becky.
And I'm Bevy. And I have an interesting question for everyone. It kind of pertains to the case. So, has anyone listening ever walked home alone after a night out? Just telling yourself that everything would be fine because obviously going to a concert or meeting friends or just enjoying a night out is supposed to feel carefree after all. And of course, it's easy to believe that you're safe after enjoying a lovely night out, right? So why not walk home? And if you have walked home alone after a night out, did it go well? Did something sketchy as fuck happen? Because I am interested to know your guys' experiences. Because as you all know, I have experienced something sketchy as hell after a night out when I had to walk home. And I did have a bad feeling, but I just kept telling myself I'll be fine because I had no other option than to walk home.
Mm-hmm.
And something sketchy as hell did happen to me.
It did. And, I've done it several times. Although, by myself, not so much. But I remember one time I did. I was at a house party, walked home, dead of winter. I ate shit so hard on the sidewalk.
Of course you did.
I did. And I was drunk, so it's like, so you get up and you just like stumble home, and then you get home and you change into your pajamas, and you're like, oh God, my knee is so bruised. Like, oh, why am I hurting so much? And then in the morning you wake up and you're like, God damn it, did I get hit by a car? It sure freaking feels like it.
No, you're just clumsy as hell.
Yeah.
Falling on your face.
But like, what if I like broke my leg? I would have just laid there. I had a cell phone. I would have called someone.
Yeah, but what if your phone died? I mean, how often has that happened to anyone?
If you're like Becky and Bevy, far
happens
too
to
much.
me all the time.
Yeah. At one point, we referred to Bev as just the 1%er. Because you'd call her and she'd be like, oh, I can't talk. My phone's at 1%. Like, all the time.
It's true.
Yeah.
It is true. Oh my God.
All the time.
Kind of like.
It was a season.
It was a season of my life.
The 1% season.
Yeah. As I like the multiple phones I lost. Anyways, luckily, I haven't lost a phone in a while.
You go, girl.
At least like a year and a half. Anyways. I was like, it hasn't been that long. I got lucky with that one and somehow found it from Google.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got lucky.
Bev's had some, like, lucky phone finds in her life.
Oh my God, I seriously have.
To put it on the record, I've never once lost a phone.
Okay, well,
I'm just
you go.
Throwing it out there.
I have thought to myself a time or two that I have ADHD. Or maybe not ADHD, but like ADD, like the inattentive type, because I can't be on time. I lose everything I touch. Like even in my own home, like there is a 90% chance I have no idea where my phone is.
It's unreal. Bev will be like, Becky, have you seen my phone? I'm like, it's literally sitting on the couch.
I'm like,
where you left it beside me. Oh my God, I thought I lost it.
I have like systems in place where like I can't lose things. Like, I have something where I can hang my keys every time I walk in the door. Like Craig doesn't use that little like keychain hook thing. I do. Because I'm like, how many times have I been like rushing to get out of the house for work and I'm like, don't know where my keys are. Have no clue. Like it's happened way too many times. So either I'm just like seriously forgetful or like spaced out in the head, or I have like ADD or something that has been undiagnosed. But either way, I'm making it work. Let's just say that. But yeah, maybe at a later time I'll tell you guys about the times where I've had lucky phone finds.
Yeah.
Because
there's some pretty lucky ones. Okay, Bev, you just like kind of brought up disorders.
Yeah.
I need to talk to you about something.
Oh my God.
Okay. According to Facebook videos, I have dyslexia.
What do you mean?
Okay,
oh my God.
So I know. I don't actually think I have dyslexia, but when you sit there and you're like, do I? Uh-oh. Okay, so there's these videos, and it says like a statement on the screen, and I read it, and it basically I read, you have dyslexia if you're reading this incorrectly. And I'm like, oh, read it perfectly fine. And I'm like, what's the big deal? Like, surely. I go back and I read the comments because I'm like, is this supposed to be just like what are they, like an eye catch? Like, where they just catch your attention to get the views? Like, ugh. Anyways, so I go look at the comments. They're like, oh my God, I didn't even realize the words were out of order. And I was like, what? Oh my God, no. And so I go back and it's like, if reading this, you are, and like, they're all just jumbled and like enough to like, I don't know, you'd probably recognize it, but I read it like as normal as can be. And I just sat there being like, do I have dyslexia? Oh my God. So it happened to me a couple months ago.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I kid you not, yesterday, I'm sitting on the couch chatting with Jamie, see the video and I read it. I was like, oh, it's one of those dumb videos again. And then I'm like, wait, I literally just read it perfectly. What the fudge? And I go back and I'm like, oh, not again. I was like, it's getting me every time.
But you're reading it perfectly.
Perfectly, Bevy, but the words are not in correct order, but I'm reading them in correct order. And I'm like, are these sight words? Like, is this what's going, is it just like a sight phrase? That I'm just like, I know what it says. No, I had to reread it. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even notice. Didn't
See,
even
the
notice.
real question is you have to let Jamie read it.
Oh.
And just like see, you know?
Yeah.
Because I've seen some of those things where it's telling you, oh, if, I don't know, if you have this.
If you read it this way, you have this.
Yeah,
and blah,
exactly.
blah, blah,
And
blah,
it's
blah.
just like, I'm like, that's like stupid as fuck.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because you know, like those sentences where everything in the middle of the sentence or in the word, it's like the letters are all fucked up, but the first and the last are the same, and everyone can just kind of like read it.
Yeah.
Like, if it's something like that, then maybe it's just like.
It's like that same, well, I don't know if it's the same concept, but the words are just not in the right order, but I read it completely in the right order.
Huh.
So either I'm brilliant and can decipher it and just make the sentence work, or.
Were there tons of people in the comments that were like, I read this perfectly fine?
Yes.
Maybe it's just a phony piece of shit thing.
I'm not looking into it, but it's happened like multiple times. And so like.
Well, let's just think about this. You did have trouble in school, and we've always kind of assumed that it was because your birthday's in December and you were like
Okay.
a year. Not that you're dumb. No. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's only when I'm joking with you. But in all seriousness, we literally feel like it's because you were a little bit like younger than everyone.
Yeah.
Like you really should have been in a year
behind
or like yeah. And you weren't because your birthday was in December. So we always kind of just like assumed that was the reason. At least in our adult years.
Yes.
When looking back on your stupidity. Just kidding. And but could you imagine if you had dyslexia the whole time and like
I just struggle bust it through.
Yeah, you just had no idea.
Grade 1 through 12.
That would suck. I feel like a lot of people sometimes like go through life with disorders not knowing they have it and they just struggle. And then like in their adult years they find out and they're like, oh, that explains everything.
Oh,
shit.
Yeah, I feel so much better knowing that there's a reason why I felt so off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You know what? I do make fun of myself because I tell Jamie, I said, I don't think I'm dyslexic, but when I am typing these podcasts, my fingers sure are.
You say that to him?
I said that. I said, when I'm reading, like, that's not how I intend to spell it. Like, I know that the is THE, but in my typing, it's almost every time HET.
Really?
Every time.
Oh my God.
And so I'm like, the disconnect between my brain and my fingers for sure is dyslexic.
Oh my God, that's so crazy.
For sure it has to be, because I'm like, who makes these mistakes over and over and over again?
Seriously, especially with the word the. Like, that's like
maybe my fingers are just
word.
moving like faster than my brain or vice versa, but I don't know. I don't know what to think anymore, Bev. I don't know.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, no shame if we have those disorders, right? I mean, we might. But
it's
either
just
way,
that epiphany, like, do I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It would help explain a couple things.
Yeah,
maybe.
sure would. But you know what would be really bad, Bev? If I didn't, then I'd be like, oh no, it's just me.
Yeah,
Damn it.
Yeah.
I'm dumb. No, I'm kidding, right? I don't think I'm dumb.
I don't think you are either.
But my spelling is not the best.
Yeah, there you go. But I do want to get back to our original question and just anyone who's listening, like, please go to our Instagram, send us a message, and we will, like, post your story or, like, do something. Because, like, I really want to know people's stories about, walking home alone and, like, what has happened. Because I feel like it happens to more people than you would know, like, a sketchy thing that goes on, right?
Like, on top of that, send us your sketchy incidences.
Yeah.
But also send us a time when, like, it was so clear that you shouldn't have done this alone because it was such, like, maybe a bad idea. Because we all have gone against our better judgment at some point.
Yeah, totally.
So hit us up with both ends.
Yeah. And you'll understand why we're asking this once we get into the case. So why don't we get started and tell you guys the case of Morgan Harrington. So Morgan Harrington was born in Charlottesville, Virginia on July 24th of 1989. And Morgan is a girl that's actually after Becky's own heart because she was super passionate about art as well as music. She was also very academic as well. In fact, she completed high school early. And at the end of the day, all Morgan wanted to do was use her education and teach. Morgan ended up getting admitted for early admission into Virginia Tech, where, of course, she was majoring in education. While in school, Morgan pretty much spoke with either her mom or dad every day. She was very family oriented. On top of that, she made it a priority to see them once a week as well. In 2009, Morgan was 20, and she was in her second year of her degree. She was a dedicated student, but just like a lot of 20-year-olds, she liked to have her fun too. So on October 17th, Morgan had made plans with 3 of her good friends to go out to see her favorite band, Metallica. They were on their World Magnetic Tour.
Which, interesting side note, Bev, I actually saw Metallica on that exact same tour.
Oh, hell yeah, Becky.
One of the best nights ever.
I mean, I think it would be actually really nice to see Metallica live.
Yeah, it was a real good time. Actually, the group I was with, we ended up taking this, we were so excited because we got a limo to take us to the Metallica concert. But it ended up being this like old ass, like white limo, like velvet everything inside. So it was like so like retro. And he picked us up too. It was so great. But I was drunk before I even got in.
Oh, I'm sure you were.
Oh, God.
Like, such is the limo vibe.
Yeah. So fun. Such a good concert.
Amazing. And, Morgan was very excited to see them live.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, she had bought the tickets 6 months prior, and she put the tickets on her fridge, just hanging there, counting down the days. So on the evening of the Metallica concert, Morgan and her friends drove together in her car and made their way down to John Paul Jones Arena at the University of Virginia to see Metallica. The opening acts were Gojira and Lamb of God. And just before Metallica came on, Morgan had gotten up and went to use the washroom. But 20 minutes later, Morgan hadn't returned to her seat, so her friends called her at around 8:38 p.m. to see where she was. When Morgan answered, she was devastated. She told her friend that she had actually gotten locked out of the arena because apparently there was a no re-entry policy. So she told her friends to stay at the concert and not to worry about her, that she would find her own way home and she would catch up with them later. At the time, Morgan didn't have her car keys because they were with the friend who drove her car to the concert. So she had to find another way home. Now, we don't actually know why Morgan had left the arena in the first place, but we could all speculate. Maybe she was having a smoke, maybe she needed fresh air, maybe she met some random person, who knows, right?
Yep.
Now, the following day, October 18th, Morgan was supposed to be having her weekly visit with her parents, Dan and Jill. But Morgan didn't show up, which was strange because she had asked her dad to help her study for an upcoming math exam. So this particular time, even more than all the others, it was really important that she be there that day so she could get help from her dad. So her parents tried calling and texting her cell phone, but there was no answer. So Dan and Jill called the friends that she had gone to the concert with to see if they knew where she was. And when they told them that Morgan didn't even get to see the concert because she got locked out, they were pretty horrified because no one had seen or heard from her since the night before. And this tidbit of information led them to file a missing person report with the police. Now, unbeknownst to the Harrington family, earlier that same morning at around 7 a.m., a lacrosse player found Morgan's purse in an RV lot at UVA's Flanagan Athletic Field near the university. And it contained her student ID, driver's license, debit card, a hip flask, and her cell phone with the battery removed. So obviously, even though her family doesn't know that, us as listeners and understanding this case, that's really concerning, right?
For sure.
Especially the battery being removed from the phone.
Mm.
That's probably the sketchiest thing because it's yeah, you can lose your purse. That's fine. But
Yeah, typically people take the battery out, so that their phone isn't tracked. It's not, pinging off cell towers. So, yeah, it's sketchy,
Yeah.
questionable.
So, following being reported as a missing person, searches began for Morgan, and over 1,600 people came out to help, but they did not find her. The public was then notified about her disappearance and asked to call in with any tips, big or small. A description of her was released, and it read that she had long blonde hair, piercing blue eyes, and was last seen wearing a black band shirt with the name Pantera on it. She was also wearing a black miniskirt, black tights, and black knee-high boots.
What's interesting, so her shirt, Pantera,
Mm-hmm.
as I was editing this podcast, what probably a lot of you don't know is when I write these podcasts and then I edit them, if there's any mention of music or someone's favorite place, favorite movie, I will go and watch it, listen to it, look at someone's favorite art, like stuff like that, just to kind of get in there, like relate to them
Yeah,
as
that's
I'm
fair.
doing this to kind of, I don't know, like feel closer to them. So I had heard Pantera before, but it wasn't a band I listened to regularly by any means. So I listened to Pantera for like 4 hours straight. And actually, I'm a fan.
Nice. Look at
So
that.
just saying, she had great taste in music.
Was it a similar vibe to like Metallica?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. It's in that, I would say, similar genre. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I like Metallica, so maybe I'll take a listen too.
Yeah, you'll just have to listen to it.
I will. Okay, so now that the public is aware that there is this missing girl, they started to kind of criticize some of the information that they knew, and a lot of that fell on Morgan's friends. They took a lot of heat from the public for letting her leave on her own. But Jill and Dan, Morgan's parents, defended her friends because they didn't even know she was going outside. Morgan did it of her own accord, and they thought it was just so like Morgan to insist that her friends stay and enjoy the concert while she would find her own way home. Jill, Dan, and the police wanted everyone's energy focused on finding Morgan, not like playing the blame game.
Of course.
So, with the public's help, witnesses came forward and told police that a little after 9 p.m. on the 17th, Morgan was actually spotted in the University Hall West parking lot, and then again a few minutes later in the Lanagan track parking lot.
Which is close to where her purse was found.
Yeah, so that tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Several people also reported seeing Morgan around the same time walking along the Copley Street Bridge with her thumb out hitchhiking. They noticed she had a scrape on her chin and appeared disorientated. And this was apparently the last sighting of Morgan.
Now, one thing to keep in mind is remember when the lacrosse player found her purse?
Mm-hmm.
The phone battery was taken out and
Yeah.
all her belongings were in that parking lot.
Right.
So, if we are assuming either she dropped it or something happened there,
Yeah.
she didn't have that. So, her only option was to hitchhike, which we know has its own risks,
Totally.
right?
Yeah. Oh God, it's a pretty scary like situation to actually think of. And like obviously she has a scrape on her chin. So you're like, was there an encounter near where her purse was found? Was someone following her? It's obviously just like really scary to hear that that was the last sighting of her.
For sure. And one thing to keep in mind, these people were driving by. So, did she have a scrape or was it a shadow? Like, I think there's also a lot that, like, it could be misinformation as well.
That is fair.
So, there's many factors at this moment.
But we know she was alone.
Yeah.
And obviously without any way to contact,
Mm-hmm.
her loved ones.
Yeah.
So the searches and the whole investigation continue on for about 3 weeks with no major leads. Until 3 weeks after that, when a student on his way home from class found a black, bloody t-shirt in the bushes in front of his apartment. And his apartment building was not far from the arena. And because he had heard about Morgan's disappearance, he called police to report what he found. Police ended up recovering the shirt and searched the surrounding area. But the shirt was the only item that ended up being discovered. The shirt was then sent for testing to see if it did in fact belong to Morgan and if there was anything noteworthy on it. Eventually, results confirmed that it was Morgan's Pantera shirt and that the blood was hers. Now, what is really sketchy is that there was also an unknown male DNA sample on it. And when this sample was run through CODIS, it did not match a specific individual, but it did match a cold case from 2005. And that cold case occurred on September 24th of 2005. A victim had reported that she had been assaulted. She apparently had been brutally beaten and sexually assaulted. At the time, she was living in Northern Virginia in Fairfax. Around 8:30 on September 24th, she had been walking home from a local grocery store. And as she was about to climb the stairs into her home, someone suddenly grabbed her from behind and dragged her to a grassy area in the neighborhood where it was more secluded. The suspect slammed the woman's head into the ground and punched her in the face. She was then choked and sexually assaulted. During the attack, the woman screamed for help, but the attacker threatened to kill her if she screamed again. He told her that if she let him do what he wanted, he would let her go. Eventually, because she was being choked, she lost consciousness. When she came to, she saw car headlights, and her attacker must have, become scared and ran off. So she was left on the ground in pretty bad condition. And a man in the car saw her lying there, got out to help her, and tried to look for the attacker, but he had already left the scene. The woman was taken to the hospital. She was bruised all over. Her nose was bleeding, and she did have trouble walking. Virtually everything on her hurt. A rape kit was performed, and samples were collected from under her fingernails. And at the time, there were no other DNA matches in the database. Obviously, this attack had a pretty devastating impact on her life. Like, everything changed. It was hard for her to get out of bed. She was deeply traumatized. And unfortunately, the case eventually went cold, and her attacker remained free, which I can only assume didn't help her mental state.
No, I would be
that.
so scared all the time.
So would I. Like, he knows kind of where you live. Hopefully she moved. I would want to, at least. Like, could you imagine? Oh.
Yeah. I heard in another podcast
Mhm.
about this case that I was listening to that this woman ended up moving out of the country.
No fucking way.
Now, with that being said, I actually couldn't find any sources online or anywhere that stated that. So, do I believe it? Absolutely. But I guess don't quote me on that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Maybe the other podcasters got that information, like, I don't know, maybe from the victim herself. I don't know. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to say, but I wouldn't blame her for leaving the country. That is for damn sure, especially knowing that your attacker is on the loose.
Yep.
That would just be, like, terrible to
Yeah.
experience, like, that fear every day of your
Oh, yeah.
life. God, that's awful. That's a pretty violent individual.
Yeah.
So it's pretty scary to think that Morgan came into contact with this person.
Exactly. And the one thing that I thought of about this attack in 2005 was that if that car hadn't pulled up, would he have killed her anyways?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I know he said, if you just let me do what I want, I'll let you go. But
maybe that was just to stop her from screaming
and struggling. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I can't help but feel, because he's so violent, that could have easily been this woman.
Oh, yeah. She could have absolutely been murdered right then and there.
Yeah. So that makes me actually, like, happy that she's still living, but, like, scared for Morgan.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's get back to Morgan, because they've obviously found this evil man's DNA on her shirt.
Yes.
And so the search for her continued. And a few months later, on January 26th of 2010, a farmer was working on his 700-acre property when he sees a skull. He initially assumed it belonged to an animal, but as he got closer, he realized it was in fact a human skull. And then he noticed the rest of the skeleton. There were no other items around it, no clothing, no jewelry, and no shoes. The farmer later said he had a bad feeling that these were the remains of Morgan Harrington, and he immediately called the police. The location was approximately 10 miles from the arena and more than a mile away from the main road with no public access. And sadly, it was determined that these were in fact the remains of Morgan Harrington. But because the remains had been exposed to the elements for such an extended period of time, the medical examiner was unable to determine the exact time or manner of her death. However, in their report, Morgan's cause of death was listed as homicidal violence with an undetermined origin. She had extensive injuries to her bones, which led investigators to believe she endured something truly horrendous and painful in the final moments of her life. She had had fractures to her arms, multiple rib fractures, and a large skull fracture. And after Morgan's case was connected to the cold case that we just talked about, there was a great deal of concern within the community, and Crime Stoppers offered a $100,000 reward for information leading to the suspect. Like, they need to get him off the streets, right?
Oh, yeah.
Protect all women. And in addition to that, Metallica also added another $50,000 to this reward. Lead singer James Hetfield also spoke out, asking fans and anyone with information to come forward to help catch the killer.
Which is so nice because a giant band name like that posting and asking for help has such far outreach.
Yeah.
So I think that's actually really amazing that they took the time to do that.
Yeah.
Because they're going to reach more people than probably the local police.
Oh, 100%. And they probably feel terrible that, she went to their concert, and even though it didn't happen at the concert, but they probably do feel sad about that, right? That she came out to their concert for a good time and ended up dying.
Yeah.
That would be awful. So yeah, I appreciate that as well. So despite all of these efforts made, the case did go stagnant for about 5 years. But that changed on September 12th of 2014 when an 18-year-old named Hannah Graham went missing. Hannah was born in Reading, England on February 25th, 1996. She and her family moved to Charlottesville, Virginia when she was only 5 years old. And Hannah was a very talented athlete and student, and in 2014, she was in her second year at the University of Virginia. And on September 12th, around 9:30 p.m., Hannah and her friends went out for food before attending a party. And then around 11 o'clock, they made their way to the party. While there, Hannah and her friends had been drinking, and eventually Hannah began to feel pretty unwell and left the party, presumably to go home. People with her said she was very intoxicated at the time. One friend offered to drive her home, but she declined and began walking instead. Around 1:20 a.m., Hannah texted a friend saying she was lost, and this was the last time anyone heard from her. The next day, Hannah's roommates realized she had not come home, and at first they thought she may have stayed at another friend's house, but when she failed to show up for her plans later that day, they became seriously concerned. So they contacted Hannah's parents, Sue and John Graham, who then reported her missing. Police issued a public plea asking anyone to check security footage from the night of September 12th to 13th. They released a photo of Hannah from that night, and she was wearing a gold crop top and black pants. And footage soon began coming in, allowing investigators to piece together Hannah's final movements before she disappeared. So at 12:45 a.m., Hannah was seen walking alone past a pub called McGrady's. And just before 1 a.m., she was seen running past a Shell gas station. At 1:06 a.m., Hannah was seen at Sal's Pizza on East Main Street in the downtown mall. Witnesses who saw her that night reported that she appeared fairly intoxicated, which matches, obviously, with what her friends had said. Now, in the downtown mall footage, police noticed a large, long-haired man walking in the opposite direction of Hannah. He exited the frame, and a few seconds later, he was seen on camera heading in the same direction as her. On another camera, the man was seen catching up to Hannah and putting his arm around her. He then took her to a nearby bar called Tempo, where he bought her a drink. Witnesses later said the man did not appear friendly. A short time later, another witness saw Hannah and the same man standing near an orange car. People nearby overheard Hannah say to him, "I am not getting in that car with you." It was around this time that Hannah sent the text message saying she was lost. On September 19th, police released footage of the man following Hannah and asked the public to help identify him. And it wasn't long before tips did start coming in, naming Jesse Matthew Jr. as the person on the CCTV footage. He was a former Liberty University student, 32 years old, a nursing assistant, and a part-time taxi driver. So police obtained a warrant and searched Jesse's home, and they collected about 12 bags of evidence for testing and examination. On September 20th, Jesse went to a Charlottesville police station, briefly spoke with officers, and then requested a lawyer. So he was allowed to leave. However, when he did, he sped away so aggressively that police charged him with reckless driving. Officers attempted to pursue him, but he managed to get away, and a warrant was issued for his arrest. But still, they didn't know where Hannah was or what happened to her. So hundreds of volunteers came out to assist with search efforts, and police also pleaded with property owners in the surrounding counties to check their properties. Obviously, they're like, well, Morgan was found on a farm, so
keep your eyes open.
Yeah. And then on September 22nd, Jesse's home was searched yet again, and even more items were found, including some clothing. And with everything that the police had found, they charged Jesse with abduction with intent to defile, aka sexual assault. But when police went to arrest him, they realized Jesse fled, and a bolo was issued to both the public and law enforcement, warning that if Jesse was seen, he should not be approached as he was considered highly dangerous. And they also said that police should be contacted immediately if anyone ran into him. A few days later, Jesse was found camping on a beach in Texas, roughly 1,300 miles away. And he was arrested that day on multiple warrants, including being a fugitive from justice and abduction of a person with intent to defile. He was also charged in Galveston County with providing false information to a police officer. And of course, due to his extensive rap sheet here, his bond was denied on the fugitive warrant, and he was extradited back to Virginia. And just shortly after, on September 29th, it was determined that Hannah Graham's case was in fact connected to Morgan Harrington's case, as well as that earlier cold case, because Hannah's DNA was found on a shirt in Matthew's apartment and in his car. Now, what's interesting about Jesse is that more than a decade earlier, he had twice been accused of sexual assault at two separate Virginia colleges he attended as a student, and he left each school immediately after the allegations. The reported assaults occurred within an 11-month period as Jesse moved from Liberty University to Lynchburg to Christopher Newport University in Newport News. Apparently, police did investigate both reports, but no criminal charges were brought in either case.
Right, so he was a danger to women even before that first brutal attack.
Yeah, such a shame, hey?
Mm-hmm.
So they obviously know that Jesse is connected to Hannah, but they still don't know exactly what happened to Hannah, so they continue on with their search for her. And while they were searching abandoned properties, on October 18th, human remains were in fact found in southern Albemarle County. Authorities informed Hannah Graham's parents of this discovery. The remains were sent to the chief medical examiner's office in Richmond for identification. And on October 24th, the remains were positively identified as Hannah Graham. Now, a little while later, on November 18th, a cause of death was determined, but initially withheld at the request of law enforcement. And later that day, the Albemarle County Police Department released that Hannah died by homicide of an undetermined cause. Hannah's body was found within 5 miles of where Morgan's body had been discovered. And 2 days after Hannah was found, Jesse was charged with attempted murder, object sexual penetration, and abduction with intent to defile. Now, for the 2005 cold case, Jesse pleaded not guilty. And just as that trial was beginning, he was also then charged with first-degree murder in the death of Hannah Graham, which was later upgraded to capital murder, which meant that the death penalty was possible. And then on June 10th, 2015, Jesse Matthew entered an Alford plea in the 2005 assault case and was convicted on all charges. So an Alford plea is a type of guilty plea in which the defendant maintains their innocence, but acknowledges that the prosecution has enough evidence to likely secure a conviction at trial.
Which we've talked about several times. I hate that plea.
Yeah, you're just like cowardly.
Yeah, it's like, there's pretty damning evidence, but you know what? Wasn't me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay, Shaggy.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So ridiculous.
I know.
So in October, that case concluded, and Jesse was sentenced to 3 life terms.
Which I think is actually kind of funny, Bev. And I'll tell you why. Because he took this Alfred plea and he's like not admitting any guilt, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, you just got sentenced to 3 life terms. Like, he doesn't want to take any accountability, but the charge is like, or not the charge, the conviction and sentencing is huge. Like, it didn't change the outcome. He could have just pleaded guilty or not guilty and probably got the same sentence. So it was like a nothing plea.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe he does it to make himself feel better
Like for
about
his own
things. Yeah,
conscience or
like,
something.
or just to protect his, like, self-image,
Yeah.
you know, or something. Like, I don't know what it, like, why, but
Yeah.
it seems silly.
Yeah, like, so it's like, whatever, it didn't matter. You still got a huge sentence. So,
No, sorry, just to confirm, are those 3 life terms for all of them?
that is just for the 2005 case.
Wow, hey.
Yeah.
That's a huge sentence.
Yep.
Like, we'd see people, like, he didn't even kill that woman. Like, I know he attempted to, but, like, he didn't actually succeed. So to get 3 life sentences, like, it must have just been for all of the charges. Like, was that what it was?
Yeah, because there was, like, keep in mind, he kidnapped this woman
Right, right.
and then assaulted her.
Yeah.
Bad. So, yeah, he was charged, or he was found guilty on all 3 charges, and each one got a life sentence.
Wow, that is wild.
I know,
I
like,
don't, I feel like I haven't seen that, actually.
yeah, you
But
do
they
sound
mean
a little
business.
surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I mean, he deserves it.
Yeah.
So there it is.
So even with just that case alone, he's in jail forever.
Yeah. Thank God.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting about this specific case is that before Jesse was actually sentenced with those life terms, his former girlfriend had sent a letter to the judge stating that Jesse had been sexually abused as a child and that she believed this trauma likely played a role in the crimes he committed. And Jesse stated that the letter was, in fact, accurate.
Mm.
So obviously, maybe she has some sympathy for him. She's trying to get him to receive a lighter sentence.
Yeah.
But I think we've stated it before. You know what? Yeah, okay. Trauma can actually impact like your sexual deviance or preferences, fantasies, or like your, you know, your behavior in the future. Obviously, it definitely can. And it does for a lot of like killers, actually.
Yeah.
But that does not absolve you of the like taking responsibility and paying for your choices in life.
Yeah.
Like, even if it was influenced by something else, like you do the deed, you have to pay the price. I'm sorry.
What did we say as a kid? You do the crime, you do the time.
That's exactly it, Becky. Exactly. So, yeah.
And clearly the judge was like, don't care. Like, sorry, that sucks.
Yeah.
But you slapped him with 3 life sentences.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, it's just like you have done heinous, disgusting things
Yeah.
to not only this woman, but like other women. I'm sure the judge like maybe knows about what he did in the other cases too, even though he
I
wasn't.
bet he does.
Yeah.
I bet he does.
Now, 3 months later, Jesse was also charged with first-degree murder and abduction with intent to defile in the Morgan Harrington case. Police believe that because Jesse had been driving a taxi that night, he likely lured Morgan into his cab after she was locked out of the venue.
I mean, like, how else is a girl supposed to get home without her car keys? You take a taxi.
True that, Becky.
Unsuspecting victim she was.
Yeah.
If that's what happened. I mean, she was unsuspecting either way.
But it's a good theory.
Yeah.
Now, with the evidence mounting in both the Morgan Harrington and Hannah Graham case, Jesse ultimately pleaded guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of abduction with intent to defile in March of 2016. And his plea spared the Harrington and Graham families from enduring a lengthy and painful trial, and it avoided Jesse the possibility of receiving the death penalty. So he was sentenced to 4 life terms with no chance of parole. And the family supported this decision and expressed gratitude for the outcome. So in total, Jesse received 7 life sentences for all of his known crimes. And he is incarcerated at Red Onion State Prison, a supermax facility considered to be one of the most secure prisons in the United States.
Red Onion. That made me chuckle.
I know, that's what I was going to say. What a name for a prison.
Like, is Virginia known for their red onions?
I don't know. Are the people that are incarcerated in that prison just so awful that they make everyone that they come into contact with cry?
Is that why?
Is that why? Yeah.
Good questions here, Bev.
I know.
Who knows?
Odd name for sure.
That made me laugh.
Okay, so just a little update on Jesse here. In 2019, so quite a while ago, he was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer, and he was transferred to receive treatment.
Now, that sounds pretty ominous, like he might die, right? Stage 4 colon cancer.
Sounds pretty bleak.
It's not a good position to be in if you want to live.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Now, you have no idea, Bev, how long I spent looking up and trying to find if Jesse Matthew Jr. died from this. Not a clue. I could not find a single goddamn source.
Really?
Yes. So, honestly, my assumption is that he died in prison.
Yeah, I mean, stage 4.
From cancer. But I really don't know. There, maybe someone out there does, well, guaranteed someone out there knows. But I myself could not find a single update past 2020.
Well, if that's the case, though, if he died, he was pretty young, not that old, right?
He's in his 30s.
Well, by the time he was sentenced and everything, was it 30s still? Either way, early 40s or whatever. This isn't long after he was sentenced, you know?
4 years.
Wow. I mean, you kind of hope he lived. And the reason I say that is because, could you imagine doing these horrible, heinous things and then just, dying 3 years after your life sentence? I'm sorry, but that seems a little bit bullshit to me.
Yeah, it's
it really does.
Doesn't seem like he really had to live out his life sentences at all. Well, because he didn't. But I've said this before, and I think it was one other case. But sometimes I feel like it's the world's way of being you know what?
You can't be here. You're so awful.
Yeah, you escaped the death penalty, but
death did not escape
you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just kind of feel like that because I honestly can't remember which case it was, but we had this exact same thought.
Yeah.
Where it's oh no, oh, you died not long after being in prison. Well, the world needed to fix its order.
Yeah.
And it did it.
Yeah.
Just saying.
You were such a heavy outlier, you changed the mean of the world's terribleness. It's gotta go.
Yeah.
Okay, so enough about Jesse. So, obviously, 3 women, well, 1 was really negatively impacted by Jesse and his bullshit, and 2 lost their lives. This is a pretty sad case, or cases, I shall say, and no doubt the family members of the victims probably struggle with the loss that they have endured every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in most cases that we talk about, the parents of these victims often, create a fund or an organization or what have you to kind of honor their children. And that's no different than Morgan's parents. So Jill and Dan Harrington founded an organization called Help Save the Next Girl to honor Morgan. And the organization is committed to being an active and imaginative presence on campuses and clubs and in violence prevention forums across the country to help save the next girl. Their connections enhance the ability to quickly disseminate urgent information, such as alerts about missing persons. It also provides outreach and support to victims' families and uses its media presence to promote awareness of predatory danger and campus safety.
Which is always nice when there's a huge tragedy, when at least something good can come from it. Obviously, no one wishes that this tragedy happened, but there's something meaningful after the fact.
Yeah.
And if you've listened to our podcast before, you know how we feel about that. We love it.
Yeah, there's nothing else we can really say other than we love it. So what remains are the many families and victims left to pick up the pieces after the harm that Jesse caused. But if something positive can come from such losses, it helps the legacies of the victims live on. And I think that's what's important, because every life that is lost matters, plain and simple. End of sentence. So rest in peace to Morgan and Hannah.
And to our unknown victim, if you hear us.
That bastard is probably dead. Rest easy.
Yeah, rest easy. And I hope you're just doing okay. I hope you're doing okay and you've picked up the pieces that he left you in, and I hope you're prospering, girl.
Yeah, you're
I hope
thriving.
you are. Yeah, I hope you are.
Well, Becky, thank you, as always, for listening.
And of course, thank you for sharing.
And I love you hugely.
And I love you hugely.
And we love all of you hugely. Until next week. And just your weekly reminder to download our weekly episodes, follow us on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever streaming platform you listen to us on, and give us a follow on our social medias. You can find us at Luminol on the Wall. Can't wait till next week.